And now, a thought from man.
You know, it's kind of funny. 2017's just been kind of this year for nostalgia. At least that's what I feel like. I mean, think about it. First we get Samurai Jack's finale, then we hear Invader Zim's coming back, and then we hear Rocco's Modern Life is supposed to be coming back for a short or special, and now we got the Jungle movie. The movie we've been waiting so long for since the end of Hey Arnold, and now it's finally here. And by God, it's fucking great. I mean it. This was something that I've wanted for so long, and it gave me what I wanted. Holy crap, was this good. I beat it. I cannot fake. I had so much fun just watching this. This was just so fucking hilarious. All the characters, they just brought me on a freaking nostalgia trip, man. I'm just so glad we finally got this after waiting for so fucking long. Bravo, Nickelodeon. Bravo.
Finally, someone with some sense around here.
There's kind of a weird history when it comes to this movie. Originally, it was supposed to come out sometime in the 2000s, sometime after the Hey Arnold movie and when the series ended after the Journal episode. And the sort of weird thing about it was there was test footage of the Jungle movie back in the 2000s that was made, but sadly the series kind of got canceled and they just decided not to bother with it because the first Hey Arnold movie did not do that well. Which was kind of obvious it wasn't going to do that well, because why the hell did Hey Arnold really need a movie in the first place? Granted, the Jungle movie sort of justifies itself because it's the finale of the series, but the Hey Arnold movie itself was just so mediocre and just clearly didn't need to be in theaters by any means. So that was just sort of the thing about it. So the Jungle movie got canceled and they never bothered to give a proper ending. But now, after they see how nostalgia's picking up and how fans really loved Hey Arnold, they decided, hey, let's bring this back and let's end it off and give it its proper ending. And honestly, I'm happy with that. I'm glad we finally get proper closure for Hey Arnold, because it's an amazing Nickelodeon series. It's honestly one of their best. So I'm glad we finally got this. And it's sort of interesting with this because the main thing about it was the creator of Hey Arnold, Craig Bartlett, he decided he wanted to bring this back, and he also brought in a bunch of fans who really loved the series and made a lot of fan art and even showed off some of the fan art to the people and executives, and he used them as a means to pitch this entire idea. And I'm like, holy crap, that's pretty unique. I like that. It's like, I'm gonna get the fans to come here because they loved it so much. They loved Hey Arnold, and they would probably tell the story proper and do real justice. And I just appreciate that he paid attention to the fan base. I like when creators do that. And I'm also very happy that he was able to bring back a lot of those OGs who worked on this series, because it still feels like Hey Arnold. You still feel like this is Hey Arnold through and through. It doesn't feel like somebody came in and tainted it. And I really enjoy the fact that he was able to bring in some old blood as well as some new blood for this series. I really think that was a great move on his part. And it clearly pays off because this movie honestly feels like a proper love letter to the fans. It does everything that you would expect from Hey Arnold, and it does a little more too. It brings back the nostalgia, and at the same time, you feel like the characters kind of evolved. I really enjoy how they went about this, and it's just so amazing what they did here.
All power to the working stiffs!
The main premise of this movie is that it takes up right where the last episode of Hey Arnold left off, on the Journal, where Arnold found the map. Arnold is mainly sad that he can't go and find his parents who have been lost in Central America for some years since he was a baby, and he gets word of a contest that would allow him to travel to Central America to be able to search for his parents. With the help of his friends, he manages to win the contest, and he goes to Central America where he meets a bad guy named Lasambra who disguised himself as a friend of his parents, so he could trick Arnold into helping him find this lost treasure that only Arnold would be able to get his hands on. It's very weird because the main thing about Hey Arnold was it was very down to earth. Like, the scenarios that would happen in the series were not very out there, and most of the time they stayed self-contained to the Bronx. They never really traveled outside of it. So it's kind of weird that they kind of decided, hey, let's kind of go out here to Central America and go on this sort of great adventure. It's like, okay. I mean, it works, honestly. This is what they wanted to do back in the 2000s, so to see it finally made, it's like, yeah, that's great. Granted, the weird thing about it was The original Jungle movie had different animation. It was meant to be for theaters. This one, they decided to downgrade the animation and make it more for television, which it still works, honestly. It's nice animation, and it still manages to keep true to the original art style of Hey Arnold while adding a nice update to it. I really enjoy the fact that they managed to keep that style. It's just very nice that after so many years, they still managed to keep true to the original series. I really enjoy how they managed to do that with this movie.
We've been selected to compete in a very special contest. A great humanitarian organization in Central America that helps the less fortunate is sponsoring it.
Mr. Simmons, what do we have to do to win the contest?
Excellent question, Phoebe. We submit a video presentation of our class being humanitarians in our own neighborhood.
What's the prize?
A class trip to San Lorenzo!
San Lorenzo? The San Lorenzo?
The characters are honestly the major selling point for Hey Arnold. That was the great thing about this series, and here they are all in full force. Arnold is still that great selfless kid we all know and remember, save for a certain part where he feeds bacon to a pig.
I know what you want. Bye, everyone. Come on, Abner.
A pig eating bacon? It's very creepy.
That happened. I don't get why it did. It just did. Gerald is still that great black friend that Arnold has, because, you know, back in the 90s, you kind of had to have that cool black friend. It was kind of weird, but he's still great, honestly. You still enjoy his character a lot. Helga is still that great bully character / secret love interest, or more or less just obsessed girl, because Jesus is this woman obsessed. It gets kind of creepy a lot of the time as to how obsessed she is, because there's literally a part where she helps Arnold win the contest, and the thing about it was she needed footage of him being selfless throughout the town, and she literally has an entire database of tapes and surveillance camera footage of him being selfless, and it's like, what the fuck? This takes obsessed to a whole new level, and it's honestly funny. She's still great and funny as ever. All the other side characters are all funny, and they all get pretty good laughs throughout the movie. It's really nice how they managed to keep all the characters true to themselves, and they knew that they couldn't really focus too hard on all the different characters, but they knew they still needed to show them some love, so they had some good parts with everybody. You really get some good funny jokes out of Eugene, like always, and you get some good humor out of Helga as well. And just, well, all the side characters, including Grandma Gertrude, have just funny parts. Everyone is just as great as you remember them. And then there's this new character named Lasambra, who's supposed to be the big antagonist. His main thing is that he wants to get this great treasure that's hidden within San Lorenzo, the place that Arnold and them travel to. But the thing is, he needs Arnold to be able to access this treasure. The thing about Lasambra is he is very determined. He's a very fucked up bad guy, and I mean fucked up, because he literally would sacrifice his own men straight up and let them get killed. And that was sort of the jarring thing about this movie, is that they show people get killed, and I mean they show people get pierced with arrows, fall down cliffs, and get crushed. And the thing about it is you hear them groaning after they got crushed, and then it just goes dead silent. I was thinking, holy fucking shit, they just died. And Lasambra just walks it off. It's like, better you than me. I'm like, Jesus, he just let his crew die. Every single one of them. And they showed this. They really showed a bunch of people get killed. I was like, shit. Thankfully, he gets his just desserts by the end of the movie, but it's still a little fucked up that he did such horrible things and allowed his crewmates to just get killed like that. I was like, Jesus, man, that's so ate up. This man is a monster.
How did you guess?
One interesting thing I found about this movie was that it uses a major cliche that I absolutely fucking hate, and that's the child of prophecy. I absolutely despise that because it basically makes the child or the main protagonist just someone who's supposed to be this great thing even though they haven't done anything. Alice in Wonderland did it, and I really hated theirs. Secret of Nim 2 did it, and god damn it was that terrible. But here, they do the child of prophecy, and it's done way better, and honestly I feel like it sets a standard for people who want to do this. The way they do it is Arnold is prophesized to help this sort of native tribe of Central Americans with this problem they have called the sleeping sickness. He's basically here to help bring about the end of it and wake up all the parents that have fallen asleep. And the reason why it works here is because in most child of prophecy, or usually in prophecy cliches, they usually build up the protagonist to make it seem like they're this great thing that can be the only means to stop this great evil. And the thing is, they end up building this child up even though they haven't done anything. So it adds unnecessary pressure to the child. But the reason why it works here is because the one thing is there is no great evil that needs to be defeated. It's just there's a disease, and you're the only person that can unlock this sort of door or thing that allows the cure to be released. That's it. It's not involving the entire destruction of the world. It doesn't involve a great evil to be defeated. It's just, we need you to wake these people up, and you're the only means to be able to do that. And it does work here in the sense of mainly Arnold's character. It's mainly about somebody who is very selfless, someone who can do a lot of right by the people and just does it because he just wants to do that. And we see earlier in the movie that that is Arnold's character. He's very selfless, and he doesn't think about doing things just for himself. He does it just for the sake of helping others. And that works for this prophecy because he's established as that. Sure, they sort of prophesized that's what he's going to do, but he didn't know about the prophecy until later on. He didn't know about it until he was a kid and until he traveled to Central America. He just happened to grow up to be a selfless kid. That's just something that works with this prophecy, is that it's not this big grand thing where it's like, you're the only person that can save the world, because that'd just be annoying and stupid, and it clearly wouldn't work with Hey Arnold. It's just, you're the most selfless person here, and you're the one with the real heart of gold. You're the one who can help wake these people up. And that's all it is that he just wakes the people up. And even the thing about the prophecy is that it doesn't make it so only Arnold can save the day. It's mainly just someone with a selfless heart of gold can be able to do this. And honestly, he does this as well with the help of Helga, because a certain key went missing. But Helga also happened to have something else that they could use. I just really enjoy how they went about this prophecy. It wasn't just that basic crap of, you're the only one that can save the world, or you're the only one that can defeat the great evil that is plaguing us. They're just like, this is this problem. You were prophesied to come here and kind of help us out with this. And once that happens, they don't treat him like he's a king or a god or anything. It's just, thank you for your help. We really appreciate that. I really enjoy what they did with this. I really like the fact that they managed to bring something new to such a very annoying cliche and actually make it good and make it work. That's just something you don't get a lot of the time, and I really appreciate that they did it here.
Is it fate? Who knows?
Something I truly enjoyed about this movie was that it managed to remain timeless as it always has, while sort of modernizing it a bit. Mainly in that they sort of don't use any pop culture whatsoever throughout the film. But the only piece of pop culture that they allow through is that Rhonda ends up using a smartphone. That's about as far as it goes. And I think that works very nice. It's like, that would work with her character. That is who she is. She would use smartphones. That honestly fits with her character to a T. And I really enjoy the fact that it's like, it's still as timeless as the series always has been. I really enjoy that because that's just what Hey Arnold is. It's a very timeless cartoon. And also, it's a very funny cartoon. The humor here is top notch. You get some very genuine and funny laughs. Like I said, a lot of the side characters all get pretty funny laughs, particularly Eugene and Grandma Gertrude. Those two just had the funniest laughs out of all of them. But I really enjoyed Helga as well. I got some good laughs out of her too, particularly this one point that happened in the movie that was just so fucking hilarious. It was mainly this thing where Arnold had to put this piece into a certain hole in the wall that Helga gave to him. And it was just funny because he's kind of trying to put the piece into place, and Helga starts getting fed up with him, and she's like, "You're such a football head," and she helps fix it. But the thing is, beforehand, they had a sweet, genuine moment. Like, they built this up to be this thing that it was supposed to be this sweet, nice moment, and then this happens, and I'm like, oh my god, that was so well timed. That's just really the great thing about this, is that They had comedic timing down to a T. They knew how to do this properly. It's that 90s humor, honestly. It's that humor that we all grew up with, but it feels evolved. That's something I really genuinely enjoy, is that they managed to evolve themselves with this movie. That's something that you don't really see too often, and I'm happy that they were able to do that here.
You are such a football head.
This is honestly such a satisfying ending to such an amazing and just downright timeless series. I'm very happy we finally got this after so many years. We finally get the proper closure to one of Nickelodeon's absolute best series, and I'm just happy for it. The characters are all great and in their prime, and honestly, you feel like they've evolved over the time that you've seen them. You feel like you've grown with them. That's something this movie really makes you feel like. You feel like you managed to grow with these characters. You saw them through tough times, and you managed to come out with them through those tough times. And that's something you don't always get. And I'm happy we finally got that with this series. This series was such an amazing thing. And I'm happy this movie managed to return us to form with some of the things that they had in it. The music itself was something I really enjoyed. I missed hearing that urban jazz that they had for the series. It was so great and enjoyable. And I also really enjoyed some of the answers that they had for some of the characters. Like, what was Arnold's last name? And I'll be honest, it was just very hilarious. I won't spoil it because here it's very funny. It's very funny what it turns out what his name was the whole time. And I really enjoyed that they decided to finally give us the OTP everybody wanted to see happen in this series with Helga and Arnold. That was something we always wanted, and we finally got it. And I'm happy we finally got that. Honestly, I'm just so happy we have the proper closure for such an amazing and fantastic series. This is just one of my childhood favorites, and I'm so glad we finally have this ending to it, and it's just such a pleasure to finally see Arnold reunite with his parents. But that's just a thought.
We're gonna have no party, so you can rock this party. In the frequency, let's